This week's teaching was meant to take place in one of the most evocative locations in Israel, the full-scale replica of the sanctuary at Timnah Park in the far southern Negev. But on the very eve of filming, the worst storm of the season struck the region. Overnight, there's been gale-force winds, heavy downpours, and flash floods roaring through the wilderness in the Dead Sea area, cutting off the road from Jerusalem to Timnah and transforming the desert wadis into torrents of rushing water. What is normally a brutal, silent landscape turns wild and dangerous in a matter of minutes, making travel impossible and leaving our team stranded in Jerusalem as the storm raged. Yet even this change of plans carries a certain poetry. The wilderness has always been a place where God reveals himself, not always through serene vistas, but sometimes through the raw, uncontrollable power of nature. And although we could not stand before the sanctuary replica this week as intended, rest assured in upcoming teaching we will take you there. For now, allow the eyes of your imagination to bring the sanctuary to life as we explore its meaning together. This week's chapters in Ignite the Truth are truly epic. We started off reading about the 10 plagues God sent against the gods of Egypt, followed by the story of the Exodus. Then came the crossing of the Red Sea when God saved Israel and defeated the Egyptian army. The entire multitude moved on to Mount Sinai and received the 10 commandments. They accepted the covenant that God offered them. What a journey of revelation this has been, watching the Almighty display his power, faithfulness, and determination to redeem a people for himself. Each plague demonstrated God's supremacy over Egypt's false gods. Each miracle at the Red Sea proved his commitment to his promises. Each word thundered from Sinai revealed his character and his desire for a relationship. And then in chapter 25, verse 8, God says, "And let them make me a sanctuary, that I may dwell among them." How wonderful that the Almighty, holy God of the universe desired to commune with a nation, to live in their very midst. Think about this. The creator of heaven and earth, who spoke worlds into existence, who parted seas and rained bread from heaven, now asks his people to build him a dwelling place, not because he needs shelter, but because he longs for intimacy with them. In verse 2 of chapter 25, God told Moses to take up a contribution from every person whose heart moved them. Most of the remaining chapters in Exodus focus on this sanctuary, its construction, and its dedication. This brings us to this week's original location, the full-scale replica of the sanctuary, or the Mishkan, in Timnah Park, in the very south of Israel's Negev desert. Built after meticulous research, the replica is a complete, accurate, and authentic reconstruction of the appearance and dimensions of the Mishkan. It also includes a representation of the sanctuary's interior. This means you can actually walk through a replica of the outer sanctuary with its altar of sacrifice, the holy place with its furnishings, and the Holy of Holies with the Ark of the Covenant. The reason for choosing the Mishkan at Timnah Park for the backdrop of this teaching is obvious. Surrounded by the rugged, copper-colored mountains and endless desert vistas, you feel transported back in time. The wilderness is harsh, unforgiving, and beautiful in its starkness. The setting is very reminiscent of the areas where Israel wandered for 40 years. When you stand there overlooking the sanctuary, it's easy to visualize the vast multitude of Israel with their tents surrounding it on all sides. Picture it. Hundreds of thousands of people arranged in precise order around that sacred space, the pillar of cloud by day and fire by night, hovering over the tabernacle, signaling God's abiding presence among his people. This wasn't just a tent in the desert. This was the throne room of the King of the universe, pitched right in the middle of their camp. When Moses took up the contribution for materials to build the sanctuary, the people gave very generously. In fact, next week we'll read how Moses had to restrain the people from giving any more because they already had more than enough for the construction. They were enthusiastic givers. Imagine that, a leader having to tell people to stop giving. This wasn't reluctant obedience or begrudging compliance. This was wholehearted, joyful, overflowing generosity. They brought gold, silver, and copper. They donated fine linens and precious stones. They offered their skills as craftsmen and artisans. Why such lavish giving? Each one had seen God's power and heard his voice thundering from the mountain. They'd watched Egypt's gods crumble. They had walked through the Red Sea on dry ground while walls of water stood at attention on either side. They had eaten manna that appeared with the morning dew. They'd heard the very voice of God speak the 10 Commandments. Naturally, they wanted to honor God by building him a fitting place to live among them. Their giving was an act of worship, a tangible response to the overwhelming goodness and faithfulness of God. Today we face a similar invitation from the Lord. He still wants to come and dwell among us. The location is changed, no longer a tent in the desert, but the temple of our own hearts. Yet the invitation remains. Are you ready to build a suitable place within your busy life for God to come and meet with you? Are you willing to give up something precious, like the Israelites did, for the building of the tabernacle? What might that look like in your life? Perhaps it means rising earlier to make space for prayer. Maybe it requires turning off the television, silencing your phone, or saying no to good things so that you can say yes to the best thing. The Israelites gave from their treasures, their gold and silver. What treasures might God be asking you to surrender? Your time, your ambitions, your anxieties, or your need for control? I assure you that if you will prioritize building time into your daily routine for God, he will be faithful to come and dwell with you. In James 4:8 we read, "Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. Cleanse your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts, you double-minded." This is God's promise. As you take steps toward him, he rushes toward you. As you create space, he fills it with his presence. Humbly prepare your heart and make space to listen. God will teach you by his indwelling spirit and bring you into all truth.
If this teaching blessed you, help us pass the blessing on. Ignite the Truth is brought to life through the generous support of Christians around the world. Partner with us, share it widely, and get ready. Another teaching from Israel is coming your way next week.